This is On the Subject, the show discussing film, TV, and beyond, with your hosts Logan NAUGLE and Zachary Jackson, featuring Malcolm Russell-Nelson. Everybody, go with the theme song.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Zach.
I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Logan.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's Logan. So this is our third entry in our Batman series.
Yes.
Christopher Nolan's Batman.
The finale, the grand finale. Yeah, everyone loves this movie and there's nothing really to talk about. That's the end of the episode. So thanks for coming.
Can you edit this so we all sound like Bane?
Oh man, yeah, we'll edit the filter.
Mr. Wayne.
Everyone pick up your glass and speak into it.
Fire rises.
Members of the League of Shadows.
That's pretty
You merely adopted it.
I was born in
Is that just an old man?
molded by
Just
it.
an old man.
Hey, you nearly adopted it.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we had to climb out of a pit in that department.
We had to climb out of a pit both ways. What?
Both ways. Uphill, both ways, in the snow.
Well, so I've had the benefit of like watching all three recently and like getting to hear the previous episodes. So like I know what I want to say and like what I don't I can skip over talking about like Christian Bale's acting and stuff.
That's good.
What about Tom Hardy's acting?
Yeah. Well, so where do you want to start with this third film?
Well, I mean, first off, it's like we said, directed by Christopher Nolan. Guys, this is the longest of his Batman movies. Is it his longest movie? It's not his longest movie, is it?
No. I
It's
think
really long. It's 164 minutes. It's
Interstellar
really
longer?
long. Yeah, I think Interstellar might be a little longer. Yeah, where do we want to start? Do you want to give a?
Well, okay,
like
the first thing for me when I was like watching, I was like, wait, there's no way this came out in 2012. I was like, this is that old now?
Right.
It's so weird. Yeah, that's already 6 years old. Like,
Well, I mean, Dark Knight came out 10 years ago.
yeah, I mean that's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it. I mean, and that's something y'all talked about with the practical effects and the way that I think Nolan films is like they age better in that sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think this movie still looks pretty good. Like there's some CG bits that look a little off, but it still looks pretty good.
Even when it came out, I thought like the Batwing scene was a little weird.
Yeah,
that's the only one.
That's the most egregious of it. Like the bat just looks off. Sounds like a stupid name.
I definitely have that on a talking point is the bat or the Batwing or whatever it's called.
No, it's the bat. Ugh.
That's
The
what I thought.
That that thing sucks. It doesn't even look cool. It looks like a xenomorph's head. It looks dumb.
Yeah,
Looks like part of a drone.
Yeah, half of a drone.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
It also just
wasn't the
looked-
thing
yeah.
developed.
Ah, I get it now. He rises. Oh, I also remember driving with my brother and like a couple of our friends. We drove to Phoenix to see it in IMAX.
Oh,
How was that?
Really?
Yeah, because like at this point we had midnight back. This was back when the midnight release was at midnight.
Yes,
but
this was the last one of those. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, and I remember like have seen the first two films in theaters at midnight, and but then they were like it's IMAX, and like there's a free poster if you go to see it in IMAX on opening night. And so we're like, okay, we've seen it. Like we've seen the other two. Like let's commit. Let's go drive to IMAX theater, and we drove up to Phoenix, which is like a 2-hour drive. And then we waited like an hour in the line, or like 2 hours in line, like to get our seats. And then we saw it, but it was cool. It added to this memory of going to see this film.
Yep. See, I
did you only see it the one time in theater?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I saw it twice.
I saw it twice.
I also saw it twice. I saw it, and then I saw it just in regular theater after that.
See, the first time I saw it, we did the
regular both times.
The first time I saw it, we did the trilogy. They had that at Cinemark theaters. They played Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and then at midnight they played Dark Knight Rises. So I did the whole thing for the first time that I saw it, and I think that highly benefited how I look at this movie.
Oh wow, yeah. Like just all going into each other. And
yeah. I feel like that
Nolan
is the
Batman verse.
Yeah, I feel like that is the only way to really watch Dark Knight Rises.
Well, so I guess we should get into the movie about it.
Yeah. Okay, so this takes place 7 years after Dark Knight?
Yeah, 7 or 8 or something like that. As far as I could I can't remember what it was exactly.
Batman's basically retired. 8 years up.
And then it's 8 years after, and Batman has retired and been MIA after the events of of Joker, but I mean to the viewer, like also Two-Face.
Yeah.
The death of
Since that time, they've used the death of Harvey Dent basically to enact these laws where they can get rid of organized crime, which is pretty impressive.
The Dent Act.
Yeah, so basically there's no need for Batman in his eyes, and also everybody blames Batman for Dent's death. So he's just been hiding out at his house. And there's a party and Selina Kyle shows up and steals something out of his safe.
Steals the pearls, the famous pearls.
Oh yeah, the pearls.
Which I guess since his parents' death, he had time to put them back together.
Yeah, of course you would. Who wouldn't do that?
I'm gonna go buy a new string and put these pearls back on.
Yeah.
Did a lot of free time.
What if he didn't do that until he retired as Batman and thought oh, now I can rest. These pearls are back together.
Finally, I have time to put these pearls back together. And he spent 8 years doing it. And then she stole them.
Sounds like a bad Skyrim side quest. Okay. Yeah, and a new League of Shadows member shows up, which is Tom Hardy as Bane.
Bane!
Bane! See, he fakes the death of a
physicist?
Yeah, physicist, yeah. Oh, I'm totally spacing. And then he makes his way to Gotham, where he attacks the stock exchange. Doesn't he? He uses Bruce Wayne's fingerprints, right?
Yes, he does. Which he got from Selina Kyle.
Yeah. Which makes Bruce Wayne effectively bankrupt.
Yeah.
And when does John Blake come in?
Well, John Blake, he comes in after. He really shows up after Bane does the whole, or Gordon discovers Bane, and Gordon gets attacked, and then Blake saves him, sort of, And then he goes to Bruce. Blake just kind of shows up in the middle of the story. He just appears.
He's he's I'm a beat cop who's hanging around, but he's there when Gordon goes missing.
Yeah. He was also an orphan. I think you guys are forgetting. That's pretty important.
But we don't know that until the end.
No, we know pretty early because he has the same exact story that they gave Robin in the Lego Batman movie, where he's an orphan and he looks up to Batman and Bruce Wayne.
It's a good Tim Drake.
I was gonna say he's like a mix of the three main Robins.
Yeah, I would say he's more Jason and Tim than he is Dick.
he's still got like his attitude. I feel like is more like Dick than any of the other two.
That's fair.
He's not like a jerk like Jason.
No.
Yeah. But he's like the optimist and like kind of finding out who Batman is on his own, like Tim.
Yeah, he's a really good detective.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, okay, so that segues me into my first point about this movie is like, y'all have already talked about how Batman isn't very detective-y in the whole trilogy.
No.
Literally,
that's one of my big problems.
He is the least detective-y character in this movie.
Oh, this movie is all just reaction. It's just he's reacting to everything. He has no idea what's going on. He's just reacting.
Bane and Blake are better detectives than Batman, the world's greatest detective, is in this movie.
Blake is an amazing detective in this movie. Let me tell you, he's great. Like, starting off as a kid, he's great, apparently. Because he figured out that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same guy. Like, he's doing great. He's better than Gordon. Gordon had no idea.
And Gordon gave that kid a jacket.
Well, I mean, that's because anyone could be a hero. Even just a man who puts a coat over the shoulders of a boy who just thought he lost his entire world. Thank you very much.
You weren't puckering your lips enough for that.
I was afraid I wasn't going to come up if I did.
Gotta sort of choke yourself too.
Yeah.
Anyone could be a hero.
For just one day,
Yeah.
you could be hero. That song
Kind of has
needed
like
to
a
be in this
weird,
movie.
like Rod Stewart kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah. Well, okay. But we also that opening scene, like right after Gordon kind of talking, when it actually segues to the dun 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 dun, dun, like
Yes,
the
the
Bane
heist.
reveal scene.
Oh, it's amazing.
The opening that sold me on this movie. So like, it is such a great like scene.
Oh yeah, I remember when they played that scene in front of. They played that scene in front of Ghost Protocol.
Oh yeah.
That was the whole like, let's unveil that this scene is going on. And so like in IMAX and XD showings of Ghost Protocol, they played that scene and we're like, yo, like check this out. We got some serious shit for this movie. Like this is gonna be hardcore, you know? Yeah, it was awesome.
That part when the plane goes vertical and he just like drops down, like grabbing the chairs. I love that visual so much.
Ah, so good.
Oh yeah! As soon as he like blows out the back and just like, goosh, like,
yeah.
Oh.
I love
He's
him
like
studying
he's like
the
grabbing
blood
this.
too. Him studying the blood, like watching it go through the tubes, is my favorite part of the entire movie. Like,
We've talked about that before.
yeah, I genuinely love that part of the movie. It's so good. Like, no, they'll expect.
Yeah, I mean the film is like amazing, like cinematography throughout the whole thing. I think.
Oh yeah.
So well, like once again, going to the bat, like the bat scenes and stuff, like
those
when you see
clunky.
the bat flying, it's like
it's so clunky.
It's just, and you can tell that it's
plane.
like, yeah, exactly. It's like it's so added on and clunky.
Yeah.
And it's like great B-roll that they interjected with the CGI bat.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah, it's consolation prize footage, you know, like.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that opening scene got me.
That's so good. So this movie also introduces Miranda Tate. That's her name, right?
Who?
Miranda something. Yeah. Tate.
Who? Miranda Tate? Yeah. Who's that?
Talia al Ghul.
Oh, do you mean Talia al Ghul?
Al Ghul.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That was one of the worst reveals in like any movie.
Yeah.
It's not earned.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I really enjoy Marion Cotillard, but I did not like her in this movie.
Yeah. I've been pretty lukewarm with her and everything. I don't think she's a bad actress or anything, but her characters just don't stick in my mind.
I love
Except
her.
For,
I just think that she's
Nolan
not written well.
Inception.
Oh god, she's so good as Maul. Oh my god, she's so good. That's her best.
Her
movie.
death scene in this is
I think Inception is
so bad. Oh yeah. Her death scene though in this is like the funniest like joke acting I've
It's
ever seen.
historic. It's legendary. It's a legendary death scene.
It looks like a Muppet down.
Wait, are you just playing that from the movie?
Yeah, I was actually
Did you
just playing
play
the
that
movie
clip?
in the background right now. Yeah. Yeah, this movie suffers from some really bad acting choices, like the Christian Bale getting stabbed at the end by Talia, and his face is just like how we had sexual intercourse, it's
Yeah.
really questionable acting choices.
They have that Pete Holmes bad man that makes fun of this. Obviously,
Yeah.
like he does like he
It
talks
is
way more about
purely
the
based
sex,
just off
but like
this.
but it's like that whole stab scene where it's like, how long are you gonna draw this out? Because that is a very long like you
That's
stab
a really
me in
long.
this
Yeah. It's the worst.
like villain monologue.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on, like, who was supposed to expect that little Joey King was actually going to grow up to be Tom Hardy? No one. It's Joey King. I know that kid. Come on. Come on, that kid's adorable. I know exactly who that kid is.
Okay, so for the lack of like, there's a lot of lackluster acting in this film, especially from like senior cast members like Jim Gordon, Bruce Wayne.
Ooh, yeah, he gets it real bad in this. Yeah.
Lucius, even like it just felt like everyone's kind of like, oh, we know how to play these roles, so we're just gonna do that.
Yeah, it's just like a paycheck.
But I still like. That being said, I really enjoy this film, and for me, I actually really enjoyed Anne Hathaway in this movie.
Yeah,
she is
I liked her a lot,
the
too.
best performance in the movie. It is the best. I will go out there and say it's the best interpretation of Catwoman. Period. I think she is so good in this movie. So good.
Okay, so I agree that she's really good, but I think Tom Hardy is the best performance in this, since most of his acting is physical.
A real that's
he does
fair.
so much with just his eyes. It's
Well,
impressive.
she does a lot with her
I mean,
butt.
and
That's cheating, Malcolm.
Listen, I'm just calling it how I see it.
Tom Hardy did a lot too, but that stupid jacket was in the way.
That's true.
yeah, he was a thick boy in this movie, and he doesn't.
This
get
is
enough
the
credit for being
beginning
so
of
thick.
Tom Hardy being really thick, and he just stays that way. Remember when Tom Hardy was in Inception?
yeah.
He was a really tiny dude. Not anymore.
Yeah, and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Yeah,
Yeah, look at him
Rock and
there.
Rolla,
Like
he
he's
looks like a different person.
rock and rolla, exactly.
yeah.
Star Trek Nemesis. He's like the scrawniest
Oh,
dude.
God.
Like
Now they're just gonna talk about Tom Hardy for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, the Tom Hardy
no,
cast.
I think him
down.
like in this film is like an amazing cast, like because his stature, like
Yeah.
and like representing like what Bane is. Like I was a little disappointed that they didn't do like the Spanish Bane, like luchador, like that background.
yeah,
And
same.
like they try to keep it Bane where it's like in prison his whole life, type, like living out his mother's sentence type thing.
yeah.
Like they tried to fuse it, and I mean it would have been cool, but to have like it be like Spanish. But Tom Hardy is a really good actor and did a good weird thing with Bane, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
He is
I
really good.
appreciated
in
all
this
the
movie.
changes. Yeah, it'd be so easy to make like the Spanish thing cheesy. I was glad they steered away from it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can also be offensive
so
too.
good. He's so talented. What a son of a gun.
It is.
I actually looked up the old clip because I was like, they there was that whole controversy of his voice, like, but like,
Being recut.
I mean, he still gets like the whole like you either like or don't like his voice, but his voice was even more like marble mouth
yeah.
than it did when
Beforehand?
it actually hit theater.
Yes. Yeah. They cleaned it up pretty nicely. Like you can still tell for the most part what he's saying in the movie.
Yeah, I'll have a link in the description for this episode of like that original clip because they do it. I found a YouTube that has a side by side, and it's pretty.
Oh, awesome.
It's like,
Nice.
oh yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I still think he sounds like somebody doing an imitation of Henry Kissinger, which I appreciate.
A little
I
bit.
specifically think it sounds like Henry Killinger from
Venture Brothers. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
My magical murder bag.
Moto bag. It's my moto bag.
I think we're overlooking, honestly, the three most important performances in this movie, which are Juno Temple, Matthew Modine, and Ben Mendelsohn.
Okay,
I love Ben
Daggett.
Mendelsohn.
Yeah, I wrote Daggett
Daggett
down.
is
Ben
wonderful.
Mendelsohn.
Daggett is wonderful.
Evil.
Really?
I love
The
that scene.
code, the magical thing that's going to erase your entire history. Like,
He's such a
he's
good prick.
so good.
Also, like, I mean, I think that historic scene of like Tom Hardy just resting his open palm
So
on
good.
Daggett's shoulder.
Oh man, he's just like, what
And then just
are
like the
you?
noise afterward. Ugh.
Yeah. As Bern Gorman, again, wonderful in this movie, like hears the like scrunching and just like seizes up. He's like, ugh.
Yeah. Ben Mendelsohn is always good at playing a slime bag.
He's always good at
He's so
everything.
good at it.
He's so good.
I'm glad he's
He's
in
like
more and more things.
Me too.
Yeah, he's so good at being that guy though that's like, you know, he has a debt to pay and so but he's doing it like in a scummy way.
Oh yeah, he's
all,
just
like
a
always.
sleazebag. Like yeah, he's just gross.
Yeah.
Always. But he's so good at being gross.
He's great in yelling them softly. Him and Scoot McNairy rob
yeah.
like a mobster's card game.
Yeah.
Such a
He's
good scene.
great in that movie.
I like to think of that as like that to me is a like sequel / prequel to Rounders. Because it's like card games, you know.
Yeah, okay. I can see it.
They're in the same universe in my head. That's my head canon.
All right, I'll allow that. I can't fight you on that. Matthew Modine.
For stand-up performances, I had Tom Hardy, just Mendelsohn for like Daggett because like it
Daggett's
works
so
so well.
great.
Because I know in like Batman Begins, you guys talked about how like Falcone, like what's his name, like just like the way that they built mobsters and like
Yeah.
Gotham, like the scum of Gotham,
Yeah.
like that world. Because then one of my biggest gripes was the lack of Gotham City vibes that have slowly phased out in the trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. We've talked about that too.
But so like to have characters be built back in were good at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole city just feels so different in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
big
and I
part of it
think
is,
it's
they
like
spend
conscious
good
it's
amount of
set
time
8 years
away.
later or something, but it feels like it's not Gotham.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's fully Pennsylvania at this point. It's just Philly. This one
Yeah.
is just Philly. Like that's it.
And was it only the first film that was filmed in Chicago and then they moved to Philly for the next two, or was it? I think that's.
I want to say
I think you're right.
I'll get corrected. Okay.
One problem I've got with this movie is the editing is kind of weird. And like the scene when he returns to Gotham after escaping the prison. So he's at the court area where the Scarecrow is. And then like right around that same time he's also doing his Batman thing over by the bridge. They edit it in such a weird
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's all mostly towards the end when everything is kind of getting crazy.
Yeah. Oh, the end is insane.
Yeah, there's a couple hard shots of like day to night shots
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I felt like were harder cut than I would expect from
Yeah.
Nolan.
Right at the end, right before the big confrontation in the streets. That hard cut, like it's a hard cut. Like it's just whoa. All right, it's daytime. What's happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like they expect you to be falling asleep, like in the theater, so that like when it goes to bright, then you're like, I'm awake. What happened? Oh god.
Yeah, exactly.
So that
It's,
confrontation
yeah, there's
is
some weird
so
cuts
poorly
for sure.
planned. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they could have found weapons or something. It's just having the cops run directly at tanks and rifles.
Listen, in Gotham City, cops are cannon fodder. We all know this. Like, this movie's honest about it.
They're the red shirts.
They're the red shirts. At least this movie's honest about it.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they were like, "Oh, we do have a few guns laying around. You guys could have."
Or at least get in a car or something, try and run some dudes down.
And then mow down your fellow
Like,
police
there's a tank. I'll
officers.
grab this car. Yeah.
Instead, we're just going to get into our dress uniform
Yep.
and die.
Led again by Matthew
But
Modine.
to me,
Remember Matthew Modine being in this movie?
Each one of these movies has an actor like that.
Yep.
Who's like been gone for a
Well,
while.
that's a
like
Nolan
the first
thing,
one.
just in general.
is-
Like that's so Nolan.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like Rutger Hauer in the first one.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done more with Modine in this one.
I think he serves exactly what he
Yeah.
needs to. He's there to be the argumentative, super compliant guy, and then he finally grows a spine. Like he's there for exactly what he needs to be. I
like
think.
he represents. Yeah. I'll say also this film is it's both a critique, a compliment, and a negative. Like, it is the most comic booky of all three,
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
which is good and bad for like it's good for some reasons and worse for other reasons.
Yeah.
So
the final act just feels like a different universe.
So that leads into my big argument about this trilogy that I come under a lot of fire for. I think
Because you're insane.
no, listen, okay. In the scheme of the three movies, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, one of these movies is not like the other. And it's Dark Knight. Dark Knight is 100% not like Batman Begins or Dark Knight Rises. Now, so like you watch Batman Begins in 2005 when it comes out. You're like, okay, I know what that was. Then you watch Dark Knight in 2008 and you're like, whoa, that was like a hard crime movie. Like it had some comic booky elements, but that was pretty much a crime movie. I get this. Okay. But then Dark Knight Rises kind of reverts more to be like Batman Begins, not only in tone, but also like story elements. Like it is directly tied to Batman Begins in a way that Dark Knight isn't. So it's like those two are like if I don't know, if Dark Knight was like the third one, I'd probably be more okay with it. But since they came, like it's a complete circle between 1 and 3, and 2 is just in the center somewhere in there. Like 2 just sets up stuff for 3, really. It's why Dark Knight is my least favorite of the trilogy. Because this is all one giant story. Like, and 1 and 3
I don't think
better.
2 sets up for 3 that much, except for the Dent stuff.
Except for him being gone. Like it sets the stage for 3. That's it. And like Gordon kind of turning shitty, I guess.
But I think the first third to maybe the first half of this is a lot more like Dark Knight than it is Batman Begins. Like they're even trying to like one up the heist type stuff.
Really?
Instead of the bank robbery, they got the plane thing, and then they've also got the stock exchange. And then the last third, it's definitely more like Batman Begins, especially because they're embracing the League of Shadows stuff. And they're trying too hard to tie in, like, especially stuff with Talia.
I'll agree that they try too hard to tie it in. Like, they force it in there. But I don't know. It bugs me.
I feel like Dark
agree
Knight
with
is the perfect
upping the
step up.
stakes. Yeah. I feel like that's what makes it more comic booky than the other two even. Is like it tries to up the stakes to like, but that the whole suspending your disbelief in this like real quote real grit world that they've been building.
Yeah,
it kind of ups the stakes to a little bit of the like more comic booky suspending your disbelief side. But also so I agree with like what Zach's saying is like it tries to up the stakes. And then I was actually when I was watching it, I was like looking up a fact and was like. Dave Goyer actually was trying to split like originally when filming Dark Knight, like the Two-Face into the third movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe so like there would have potentially been 4 films even.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
And then like but then Nolan kind of like nixed that and said like no, each one should stand on its own and or like not be so codependent on the previous one.
Right.
And so like to put that all together as a whole unit, which probably made it tighter than like, by like having to trim the fat on everything and make all that fit into Dark Knight made it tighter. Where like
it's definitely
this being the
benefit
longest
of the
one.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Gosh darn, I just really like this movie.
I like it too. There's just like
I know. I feel like
parts
I
I
feel
truly
like
dislike.
you and me agree about liking this movie a lot, but I've been more negative about it than I actually
That's the
like.
thing,
I enjoy this
I
movie
can
a
admit
lot.
that this movie is not. It's the weakest of the three. I can 100% admit that. But I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
What it does right, it does so right.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Like, I could watch every Bane scene for like the rest of my life.
Oh my god, yes, easily.
It's just the final act to me is just so
So good.
wonky. I hate the Batman retiring thing.
Oh, that's fair.
Because
Yes.
I feel like it doesn't fit Batman as a character, and I don't think it fits the Batman that's been set up in these movies.
No.
Oh, I see. I disagree. Well, I agree. It kind of doesn't.
It doesn't fit the character.
Fit the movie,
but I think it
doesn't
fits,
fit the character. It fits the Nolan.
Yes,
message.
I think it fits the Nolan version of the character, but does not fit the character. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it's like Nolan told Bruce Wayne to retire, but like,
yeah,
him as a character did not would not have. Yeah,
like I would have been more okay with it if Blake didn't take over the mantle, because it's not like he's just like, oh, I'm done. You can take over. I want to break. Peace out.
Yeah, he got some booty.
He's still admitting like, oh, there needs to be a Batman, but I'm old, so
okay. But
yeah.
This version of Bruce was always looking for an out. Like, how many times did he go to Rachel and be like, "Hey, Rachel, like, there's someone else, like I think I could get out of this." Like, he was always looking for an out for a girl, and so he finally found an out because he got a girl. That's literally it. Like,
yeah, but I think that's another thing. His relationship with Catwoman is dumb. Doesn't make sense. It's not built up properly. And
that's fair.
I don't know. I just think it goes against the character for him to retire for a girl.
Yeah, I guess like if I were to like really think about it, I'd be like, oh, Christian Bale's Batman would almost like samurai death, like die on the battlefield. But Nolan, as like a storyteller with this whole series, has been like, I think, breaking down what it is to have like the comic book superhero mythos, and like was trying to be like the mind, body, and spirit, and like how you can break those things or like become stronger through tribulation.
Yeah.
And therefore, like, his character has always been hinted at as like a hero is more than the sum of its parts. It's always been about the mantle, and like,
yeah, that's true.
like
that's like a big part of Dark Knight, I guess.
Yeah,
it's like the message.
But that's the message that is being told to the viewer. But Bruce Wayne isn't aware of that, and his character would not necessarily retire. So that's why you're like, it kind of is contradicted. Yeah.
I get that.
Okay, so Malcolm doesn't have much more time. So
yeah,
what grade would you guys give this overall? Yeah,
a B. I'd give it a B.
Okay.
Just, I mean, listen, like I said, I know all the problems with it, but I think it's a closing of a loop. To be honest, this is gonna sound like a cop out, but I would never do a sequel to this. Like, in any way. I think especially leaving it ambiguous with what Blake does with it. Like, I would just leave it there. Like, there's no more story to be told in this world. But yeah, I don't know. I'd give it a B. I'd give it a B.
I was thinking like B-. That's
okay. So I gave Batman Begins an A- also.
There you go.
And to me, now Dark Knight gets an A.
Okay, fair.
We could fight about that on another
fair
in life.
Yep.
And then, but Dark Knight Rises gets a B.
Yeah.
Because to me, it had the most like flaws.
Yeah.
Also,
that's my big thing.
Like, it is still super entertaining, and I would defend it.
Yeah.
But it has like some of the most in this trilogy, the most like biggest errors.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad movie in any sense.
No,
just got-
no, it is, and it's definitely not the worst Batman movie. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lego Batman, I will also agree with this. Lego Batman is on there for me. It is up there.
Thank you. It's the most honest portrayal of Batman on film.
It's really fun.
So good. Yeah. All right.
So you wouldn't do a sequel though?
I would not do a sequel. I don't want to know
guess
what John Blake does. Like I like that character.
Okay.
I don't want to know.
Well, I'll ask it this way then. Instead of a sequel, like, what other characters would you have liked to have seen, like in the villains in the Nolan universe? Or
I would have
something?
loved to have seen his Riddler. I think that would have been really interesting.
Okay, yes.
I would have loved to have seen how he would have done Clayface. I realize how that sounds, but I'm sure he would put the Nolan stank on it, where it wouldn't be like it wouldn't. I'm sure like a Nolan Clayface, instead of it being like, oh, I'm a giant clay monster, it'd be more like the chameleon, like someone who steals your identity and like molds his face, to be like he'd be like the chameleon or like the Human Target or something. I think that'd be really interesting.
With like the Mission Impossible,
face mask.
Face
yeah,
changer.
like I'm sure it would be something like that, which I think would be really interesting. I would have loved to have seen how he would have done Mr. Freeze. That would be toy.
Okay.
That's Deacon Blackfire, that cult leader. That would be hella cool. Cause I'd love to see a Nolan like take on a cult. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. So yeah, good recording. Sorry, I gotta leave early, dudes.
Okay. Well, now that we know what Malcolm thinks about the ending and what he gave it, I don't know. Listening to you guys talk about like Batman Begins and stuff, I was like, okay, yeah. I agree and disagree with both of you, like each of you for different reasons, which is what I think is the like most fun about talking to like multiple people on a movie. Is
it'd be boring if y'all had the exact same opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think? Because I also want to hear what you think of I have a specific like idea for a sequel.
So I've just got like a short idea for a sequel, and it's just basically two characters, or one character I especially want to see on screen, and then the other one that I think is just like a fun character to have. So I would set it a few years after the end of this Batman.
Oh wait, what did you give Dark Knight Rises? Like I couldn't remember.
I gave Dark Knight Rises a B-.
Okay, so yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, because I gave Batman Begins an A-, and like this one is still solid. It's just I have just a few too many problems with like the final act, but overall, like I still like it quite a bit. And
stuff like like the cuts of the film were like
feels like
it's the weirdest thing for like a Nolan
rushed.
for a Nolan film to have like those weird kind of like, we didn't even talk about how did Batman have the time to like lay out his symbol on the ice and stuff. Instead of like saving
and like just getting back to Gotham from like East Asia.
All right, now that my back's healed and there's people in danger, I should probably still do this really cool thing. So when they light that fire, like I get like he's like it's supposed to be like it'll help trigger the like symbol of fear because Batman's back, but also it's like, dude, we're past that right now.
Yeah. You were on a time constraint.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So your sequel, what would you have in it?
So for my sequel, it's set just like a few years after this one. Batman is like completely done being Batman. He's off like just visiting different countries with Selina, and but it's essentially just Hugo Strange is the main villain. And he's just been so obsessed with Batman. Like, he just knows there's no way he's gone. And he thinks, like, the current Batman in Gotham is... He just knows that's not the same person. So he's just trying to find where the original Batman is. But he doesn't have the resources. So he starts to work with Black Mask. And he basically just starts committing high crimes in different countries to draw out Batman.
Dang,
that's the basic.
Okay, so
I didn't come up with a title though.
Oh, I did not. Oh, I wish I came up with it. What's your title?
I totally spaced on a title.
But I also like I feel like I did a similar thing of like I said it So whatever, Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight are like 8 years apart. So I was like, okay, you set this fourth film and 8 years later again. And I also had it where it's like, okay, Dick or whatever, John Blake is the new Batman in Gotham. And in that 8 years, it's almost like crime has kind of gone down since Batman proper has like gone away, because all these like big villains were almost there. Like his story was so tied to each other. It's like, but what has happened is Black Mask is kind of the new mafia.
Oh, nice.
And like kind of the new kingpin of like Gotham City, and it's almost like it's returning back to being like seedy and stuff like that. And my big villain would have been
awesome.
like Riddler.
Did you have any casting choices?
Black Mask is almost like the Scarecrow, where he's like the setup piece that would like be a part of the new like just bad guys in Gotham kind of thing. But it would obviously like be this new Batman. But I also wanted to do something where it would set like, I would like to see where it would set up like a fifth movie where Christian Bale would come back as an older Batman, because they know this isn't like that Batman. So like with either like Hugo or even like a Penguin character. But then when Malcolm said Freeze, I was like, that would be kind of cool.
I'd be really curious to see how he would handle Freeze.
I remember
he's pretty out there, but I could see him being done realistically.
Yeah, well, because like there is technology, so you could like even more realistically than like Clayface or something. I just thought like the Riddler could be realistic, but also be like make there have to be detective skills involved. And then I also would like the idea of like a Robin or sidekick, because like, oh, he's not doing it exactly like how the old Batman had done it. Like it's about passing the mantle and what that means, and like you need a team, especially like, so Black Mask is like the setup to like, oh, there's new villains, and he's like, oh, I got this, you're just a mafia kind of thug guy, but he has like an army. And then in the meanwhile, like Riddler's doing all these other type of crimes, and he's like, crap, how do I manage this? And so then like we either are introduced to like a Batwoman or Batgirl or like some sort of sidekick, like extra character.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking for a little bit like having Blake be the main character, and it'd still be like the basic thing where Hugo Strange is trying to draw out the original Batman.
Yeah,
he's doing everything all over the world, so it'd be like the idea for new trilogy is Blake setting up the Batman Incorporated thing, essentially.
Yeah.
Since he can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Do you remember? I think it was between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. Like the rumors, like were people thought it was going to be Hugo was going to be like the new villain. Yeah, and it was like all that, like, oh, who would you cast as Hugo? And like I was really excited for that to happen, but then it didn't, and I was like, okay,
yeah, no, I was bummed.
I was bummed in some ways.
Like, I was glad it was
like, all right, this is pretty cool. Gosh, yeah, I was like listening to the other episode and was just like thinking like, oh, I remember when these movies came out, and you could like, I vote for Dent like online or like follow like, especially like with all the Joker stuff online. I thought it was really interesting to like have all that movie universe stuff. So for the next one, you could like tease it with so many like riddles and stuff. But yeah,
all that ARG.
Yeah,
stuff.
Exactly. But
who would you cast as Black Mask?
Who would I cast?
I have one actor.
Wait, who are you gonna say? I actually didn't think about that.
Michael Shannon.
Oh my god. Okay, I was actually gonna say Michael Shannon or the guy who played Rorschach, which now I can't think of his name.
Jackie Earle.
Yeah,
Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley. But it's almost like, okay, it's like you know what you get from that. Yeah, Michael. Oh, that would have been such a good one.
Especially because he does like the gangster thing pretty well, like the Chicago accent. It'd be like just the right amount of like over the top. Plus, he's physically imposing, and then I feel like he's like a better fit for that type of character than for what's his name, Zod.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, that was. or Sam Rockwell.
Oh, that'd be great. I love Sam Rockwell.
Me too, because I also just think he could like pull off being like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But Sam Rockwell also gets really good at being like serious. So like kind of the insane, like he'll do really cheesy jokes and riddles, but then like can give you a deadpan serious
It's
look.
like that psycho turn.
Yeah. I mean, after seeing David Tennant as the Purple Man, I could see him as like the Riddler.
I'm not sure who I would cast
yeah.
as the Riddler. I wonder if that Batgirl movie is still going to happen.
Oh, I heard it got canned because of Whedon and stuff.
Yeah, I also think just like the DC movie verse is in such bad shape right now. They have no idea what they're doing. Like,
yeah, now that this Nolan trilogy is wrapped in the movies, it's like I don't know how you talk about the DC universe.
Yeah. Did you hear about like the Jared Leto Joker stuff?
Oh yeah, that like just came out now. Like they're gonna move forward with because I remember after Suicide Squad came out, they talked about how there was like enough extra footage of Joker storyline stuff to make its own movie.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it'll be like a mix of that and like shooting new scenes, or
I feel like if
why they would do that.
It'll be like all new stuff. But I guess they've got this idea where they're gonna have like two universes essentially. One right now they're calling the Origin universe, where they've got that other Joker movie in the works with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker.
Right. Okay. I didn't know if that was still happening now that they announced that this Jared Leto one's coming out.
I'm pretty sure there's like a 90% chance it won't happen. Like everything on their slate, I would not be surprised if they canceled everything tomorrow and replaced them with like 20 new movies. Like I'm honestly still surprised Aquaman's coming out. With
Aquaman, depending on how that does, and it's almost like they're rebooting like they do in the comics, but in the movie universe. So like, so we'll keep Wonder Woman because that's good, yeah, but we'll redo this and that.
It's such a mess.
Yeah,
like, they're just trying so hard to play catch up still.
Yeah, I would like to see like Jon Stewart, Idris Elba, Green Lantern.
I'd love that so
if they're gonna like just like not have Hal Jordan or something. Like if they wanted to do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because
and do like
that Green Lantern Corps movie is still on their slate for 2020, but there's no director or writer attached.
Even if they treat it like a grittier Star-Lord type movie,
do like
where it's like set all the way, it's set in space.
Let's do like a buddy cop thing in space.
Yeah, it's so weird. It feels like, you know, DC had Batman and Superman, and then has never. Obviously, I think Wonder Woman's been good, but it's also like, hopefully, with the sophomore film of Wonder Woman, it stays good.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm curious about it since they're setting it in the 80s. Yeah. You know, what's her name's attached? Just Cheetah. Kristen Wiig.
Oh, I know. Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Did you know Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman, was supposed to direct Thor 2?
No.
And then like Natalie
probably would have been better.
Yeah, I guarantee it would have. But Natalie Portman, like in her contract, she had like the power to fire directors. So, and she didn't like Jenkins because she had like no work under her belt. And then they picked the Game of Thrones guy. Then,
yeah.
Then I guess the studio, they blamed Natalie Portman for Dark World not being that popular.
Dang, yeah. I mean, that had a lot of problems. Yeah. I don't know who gets all the blame. Yeah. Well, I guess should we wrap up?
Yes, probably.
We're just gonna like, now that we figured out the Nolan trilogy, we'll just start solving all the other movies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, so how do you feel about like the first like trilogy, like this movie series review that's now started? I'm excited to see where this series goes and like being able to like speculate on like what other series should we do.
Yeah, that's like the most fun I'm having so far, is just like figuring out what series to do.
Yeah,
because like we decided we're going to stay away from Star Wars for a while because it's already kind of like overdone. Gonna kind of stay away from MCU stuff, I guess.
I wanna make sure I get to be on the Toy Story because they're making a Toy Story 4.
Yeah. And I've never seen number 3, so that'd give me a reason to watch it.
Oh, okay, this is perfect. Yeah, awesome. Whenever that happens.
So, would you be up for any of the Mission Impossible or like the Predator movies?
Yeah. Like,
all right, so that was the Nolan Batman trilogy. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for our guests on each episode. We'll be doing more series in the future. We'll give you a heads up on which ones we're doing, obviously. But this is just the start, and things are gonna go up from here.
I'm like super excited to have been a part of this one, but also to start this kind of new series on the paper robots, and like have you and Malcolm being a part of the paper robots now, and rolling out, like being able to talk about films and pop culture, because like, you know, we're reviewing these movies, but we're also bringing in our knowledge of other films, other comic book knowledge, other pop culture knowledge, and like kind of talking about everything like as a whole and as like a medium.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is like really fun, and giving them like some sort of score, but also like it's 3 people's opinions. It's not like the paper robots decides this is a plus movie. It's like, no, it's all 3 of us speculating and giving our opinions on what we liked and enjoyed and didn't like and what works. So this is like a really cool, having this like new series being a part of the podcast and the show. Yeah, I'm excited, and I'm excited even with episodes I won't be on, just to have that content and be talking about creative stuff in a different like way.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything. It's exciting. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode on On the Subject. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it, subscribe, rate us on whatever podcast source you're using. For more content or to reach out to us, follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at On The Subject. And for more details, links are in our show notes. Thanks again.
This has been a Geeks Rising production, your executive producer of Vandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.